So I was saying for the last 3-4 days, Airtel connectivity had a big problem in my area at least. Yesterday evening onwards, it seems to be okay.
You know, the school problem is very common.
School online classes.
Yes, yes.
That is also there. That is also there.
I don't know.
എനിക്ക് ഇവിടെ ഒരു ടെലിഫോൺ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ
ഹ്യൂജ് ലൈൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ എത്രയോ ദിവസങ്ങളായിട്ട് അതിന്റെ മുമ്പിൽ വലിയ ലൈനാണ്.
രണ്ട് തവണ ഡ്രോപ്പിൽ ഒരു കോൾ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്താൽ ഐ കോൾ ഇറ്റ് ആൻ അച്ചീവ്മെന്റ്.
Morning Manoj. Morning.
Good morning. Oh, thank you. Morning. Manoj sir, good morning. It is time to start. Manoj sir.
Yeah.
It is time to start.
Yeah. We can start, Sijo sir.
No sir, we'll wait for a couple of minutes. Our students are joining. It was only 10:59. Maybe 11:01 or 11:02 we will start. Sijo sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. So we'll start by 11:01 or 11:02. 2 minutes after 11 we'll start. Yeah.
So only 72 participants.
Yeah. Has Subbalakshmi joined?
Subbalakshmi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll start in another 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sheela ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Sheela ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have to start at 11 itself. Okay.
Couple of minutes, okay, Xavier.
Sijo sir? Sijo sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
Will you please confirm whether our students and the other students have all joined? I see only 88 numbers there.
Yeah,
Can you please confirm that?
Yeah, ma'am.
JBS also?
Good morning, ma'am. I informed the JBS team. They are joining now.
Okay. Can you ask them to make it a bit quick? Yeah.
Okay,
ma'am.
Okay,
tell Suma ma'am or somebody.
I called Suma ma'am.
Yeah, because Dr. Ashokan sir is not available.
Okay.
So maybe you can tell Suma ma'am.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Sijo sir?
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's 11:03. We will start the program.
We will start.
Let them join.
Yeah. Subbalakshmi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. To exist is to change. To change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly. A warm good morning to one and all present here. I, Sublakshmi, here take this as a great honor and pleasure to welcome you all on the behalf of Nehru Group of Institution on the upholding event of a virtual panel discussion on challenges of learnings during COVID and career opportunities post-COVID. Before starting our program, let us dedicate a moment of silent prayer in the remembrance of founder chairman of Nehru Group of Institution, late Sri P.K. Das. Thank you, everyone. I now would like to invite Shruti S. Nair, Senior MBA student of Nehru Group of Management, to deliver a prayer song. Shruti, all yours.
Thank you, Subhalakshmi. ചന്തമേറിയ പൂവിലും ശബളാഭമാം ശലഭത്തിലും സന്തതം കരതാരിയെന്നൊരു ചിത്രചാതുരി കാട്ടിയും ഹന്തചാരു കടാക്ഷമാലകളർക്കരശ്മിയിൽ നീട്ടിയും ചിന്തയാമണി മന്ദിരത്തിൽ വിളങ്ങുമീശനെ വാഴ്ത്തുവിൻ ചന്തമേറിയ പൂവിലും ശബളാഭമാം ശലഭത്തിലും സന്തതം കരതാരിയെന്നൊരു ചിത്രചാതുരി കാട്ടിയും.
Thank you, Shruti, for your wonderful prayer. Now, I would like to begin the program by addressing Advocate Dr. P. Krishnadas, Chairman and Managing Trustee of Nehru Group of Institution, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Dr. P. Krishnakumar, CEO and Secretary of Nehru Group of Institution, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, in their absentia. I would also like to address Professor Dr. Ambika Devi Ammadi, Principal of Nehru College of Engineering and Research Center, and one of the pivotal pillars of Nehru Group of Institution in our absentia. Knowledge is power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our expert speaker and a well-known person, CATS Anantharaman, former chairman of CSB Bank and past president of Thrissur Management Association. Welcome you, sir. Thank you, sir. Also, I would like to welcome well-known speaker, engineer, Francis George, a management consultant and former vice president of Citi Bank and Standard Chartered Bank. Welcome you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you, sir. A true guide is a pillar of strength and a ray of sunshine. I would like to welcome Dr. Sheela Srivastava, Director of Nehru School of Management, a beacon of light and hope for Nehru School of Management. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
I welcome the moderator of this virtual panel discussion, Mr. Sriranjan Mananti, Lead Admission Officer of Nehru Group of Institution, Kerala. Welcome you, sir. Thank you, sir. Also, I would like to welcome Mr. Sijo Joseph, Associate Professor of Nehru School of Management and the Program Designer of the event. Welcome you, sir. Just as the light of sunrise is magnificent in the sky, so is the presence of Thrissur Management Association President Dr. V.M. Xavier, sir, has brought to this event. Thank you, sir, for your immense support you gave to us for making this event possible. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I welcome respected Mr. Pratapavarki sir, Honorary Secretary of TMA, and CA Manoj Kumar M, Student Chapter Coordinator of TMA, and all other TMA members. Welcome you, sir. I would also like to address Dr. Ashokan, Head of Department of Jawaharlal Business School, Nehru Group of Institution Group, in his absentia. Welcome you, sir. Last but not the least, it is my immense pleasure to welcome all the faculty members, students, and alumni of Nehru B School who have added glory to the event with their presence. Welcome, everyone. I would also take a moment to apologize if I have failed in my duty of welcoming all the undergraduate students and professors from the institutions of Kerala. I welcome you all wholeheartedly. Welcome, everyone. Now, I would like to hand over the platform to Mr. Sriranjan sir, who will now introduce the panel members. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Subbalakshmi. I hope I am audible. Can you please confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Audible. Thank you. Esteemed, eminent, and exuberant panel of revered speakers for today's event. Respected CATS Anantharaman sir, Professor Dr. Sheela Srivastava ma'am, Engineer Francis George sir, staff of Nehru Group of Institutions, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, members of NGI family, my dear students of Nehru B schools, both NSM and JBS, most respected President, office bearers, and esteemed members of Thrissur Management Association, one of the finest management associations in this country, also the one of the organizers of this event, respected participants of this panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all and good greetings of the day. I deem it a privilege and honor to be the moderator of this panel discussion on challenges in learning during COVID and career opportunities post-COVID. Few instructions for the smooth conduct of our program. I kindly request our respected participants to please mute your mic always. Don't unmute it. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box. It will be an interruption for the speakers when they are speaking. So please kindly don't unmute your mic and talk. Now it is an honor to introduce this esteemed panel to this August gathering. We have a stellar range of 3 panelists today, very senior person, great academicians, trainers, and industry leaders with us today. And we welcome each one of you to this panel discussion. It is a great honor to have a very senior person, panelist number 1, legend, academician, CATS Anantharaman sir. Sir, it is a great honor and we are humbled by your presence. Welcome to this panel discussion. Let me take this opportunity to introduce CATS Anantharaman sir, such a great legendary leader to this August gathering. He's an investment consultant with 30 plus years of experience in Indian capital markets and banking. He's the author of the best-selling book, Stock Market Wisdom, published by Taxman, New Delhi. Sir has held very senior and coveted positions in organizations of international repute and has got rich international experience in the field of accountancy, finance, and management training. He has held a very coveted post of United Nations expert with International Labour Office, Switzerland. Also, he was the head of the Department of Accountancy and Management Studies, University of Botswana. Sir has advised various governments of Botswana, Swaziland, and Gambia, etc., on matters considering accountancy, finance, and management training. Sir has received a Lifetime Achievement Award from School of Management Studies, University of Calicut, and also Thrissur Management Association. He is a recipient of Management Excellence Award from Surya TV, Thrissur Pauravali, and Chamber of Commerce, Thrissur. This is a very, very brief introduction. I'll tell you it will take a long time if we are going to go with the entire profile of T.S. Anantharaman. So it is a great honor, sir, and we are esteemed by your gracious presence. And we also thank the Thrissur Management Association for providing us with such a stellar speaker. Panelist number 2, it is a great honor for me to introduce our captain. This is a family function, but still I have to welcome, I feel in my duty. So let me introduce Professor Dr. Sheela Srivastava Madam, one of the finest mentors and administrators I have ever come across in my career. Professor Dr. Sheela Srivastava Ma'am is an alumnus of reputed Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. She's a visionary of prominence and educator by choice. Ma'am has a doctorate in economics in marketing of bank services. She's a gold medalist at PG level. She's currently the director of Nehru School of Management and is the head training and placements of Nehru School of Management and Jawaharlal Business School. Ma'am has won the Real Super Women Award 2020 by Forever Star India, and she was also awarded the Best Regional Academic Coordinator by ICFI Hyderabad. Ma'am is an honorary fellow by the International Association of Accounting Professionals. She's a resource person, soft skills trainer for various national and international events. And more or less, we are really, really proud to have her as a director and as a captain. So welcome you, ma'am. It's a great presence and looking forward to your excellent inputs. Panelist number three, a very young and dynamic individual who's driven by his passion. We are again very happy to have engineer Francis George, sir, a wonderful personality. He has completed his mechanical engineering from Calicut University and MBA from Pune University, and then he joined the IT bandwagon in the year 1997. He has worked in very senior positions and capacities in information technology over 17 years. And in that, over 15 years, he has worked in countries like United States of America, Singapore, and South Africa. Sir is an academician and educator and trainer. He is associated with various B schools, very reputed in this country, and also a sought-after trainer. He has worked as a very, coveted post of vice president of Citibank and Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore. Welcome you, sir, Engineer Francis George, sir, to this panel discussion. My dear audience, what a panel we have. And the most important entity is the audience of this panel discussion. So once again, as a moderator of this program, I take a lot of privilege and honor in inviting each one of you to this panel discussion. And we are sure that in another 1 hour and 1.5 hours, we will provide immense value to this topic. So dear panel members and audience, the topic today for this panel discussion is challenges of learning during COVID and career opportunities post-COVID. So I would open up this discussion, and first I would go to our panelist, Sri ATS Anantharaman sir, for his initial views. Sir, please start with your opening views, and then we'll open up the discussion with the second and third panel. And dear audience, any questions you have, we will take it towards the end of the session. So this is the structure of this program. So let us hear from CATS Anantharaman sir. Welcome, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Sriranjan. Professor Xavier, esteemed President of TMA, Dr. Sheela Srivastava of the Nehru institutions, Mr. Pradap Varki, CA Manoj, Ms. Subbalakshmi, other panelists, my dear students. It's indeed a great pleasure to be part of this distinguished panel, as well as address the students of a very esteemed institution like the Nehru School. I had the pleasure of coming there at least on 2 different occasions for some lecture, and the ambience and the facilities, everything have been very, very impressive. I'm delighted to be again part of it. Unfortunately, it has to be a seminar through internet. I would have loved to be there physically and get the, the feel of the place once again. Anyway, let's do the best what's available. The topic is mainly COVID and post-COVID. I have been originally given around 20 minutes. Is that right, Sriranjan? Or I just give a few minutes and then participate later?
According to your wish, sir. It is your convenience purely. If you can make the initial comments and then we can come back. Either way, sir, as you say. Please go ahead.
Okay. Let's see how it goes. As everyone knows, COVID is what we call a black swan event. Black Swan is a book written by the world famous author Nicholas Taleb. As business students, I would advise every one of you to read that book. Black Swan, in simple words, is a very rare event which has an extreme impact, to put it in simple words. It doesn't happen often, and the impact is very serious. Now, COVID is, and I think like COVID happens after 100 years. we had black swan events in politics, like the Second World War or India-Pakistan war. That's political. We had natural events like tsunami and things like that once in a while. We have economic problems like the 2008 global crisis. All these have happened. But a health-oriented worldwide problem is happening first time in 100 years. The last time we heard was the Spanish flu and all that. Now, when it struck us last year, March, April, it was shocking, and it was total uncertainty in the whole world. The world was gripped by fear and uncertainty. We didn't know how to react to it. I would say India came out relatively better in COVID-1. But when it comes to COVID 2.0, that started about a couple of months back, again, it is shocking. But the good part of it is the future appears to be relatively certain. I mean, it's only a few months event because we already have a few vaccines which are proved very effective. My two daughters, they live in America, and they say that the majority of the population has been vaccinated and life has come back to normalcy. I'm quoting that only to tell you that although COVID-2's impact has been very bad, especially in a state like Kerala or South India, there is reason for hope, because wherever vaccinations have been done to a large extent, we have been able to get out of it. And another redeeming factor is the very strong action initiated by the central government as well as the central banks all over the world have acted in a very coordinated manner to reduce the economic impact of COVID-2. So despite a serious impact on human lives, I think we have been it appears to be reasonably better now compared to what it was. It will take another 3-4 months before we are back to normalcy, assuming there is no COVID-3, because vaccines would give us immunity, as well as we will get the various variants under control. Now, the economy is expected to open up in a very calibrated manner. The last year, financial year in March 21, there was a negative growth of almost 8% in the economy. And the current year, running year, ending March 22, we expect a growth of around 8%. So last year was minus 8%. This year we expect around plus 8%. So that the net impact is 2 years are gone. 2 financial years, we have just lost it. So to summarize the COVID impact, extreme human misery, especially in a developing country like India, the human misery cannot be calculated. But we have reasonably low oil price. We have reasonably low interest rate. There is tremendous liquidity injected into the economy by the various central banks. We have record foreign exchange reserves in India. Today's newspaper says we have crossed $600 billion in foreign exchange. We never had this all-time record. We can finance 18 months of import, which gives us substantial confidence in facing the world. We have a reasonably strong rupee. The shift from China, every country in the world is worried about China and its what is in store, what is their way of looking at the world. Everybody is worried. So people want some alternative to China, and India offers the best alternative. So many industries are shifting from China. The ease of doing business in India has been continuously improving. So when you look at all these things together, despite the human impact and suffering, there is reasonable room for optimism. I would just like to mention a few things on your career prospects and then maybe leave it to a later stage for discussion. You see, the world is a very dynamic place. Things are changing so quickly. Unless you are able to adjust and adapt to the changes, you become insignificant. Just take, for example, this COVID itself. There are many companies which were so shocked by the COVID, even they didn't know what to do. But look at some of the companies in our neighboring district of Tirupur in Tamil Nadu, very close by. There are a lot of textile units which could not do anything, but many of them, they shifted immediately to making the PPE kits as well as the masks. And they started exporting them, and they have got record profits. Some of the units, some of them are friends of mine, they have told me that they have highest level of profits in the last 6-9 months. That is what the world is going to be. If you can understand the change, adjust to it, adapt to it, the world is yours. And again, the world is getting dominated by technology and innovations. If you look at the richest people in the world, it is no longer the mine owners or landowners or building owners. The richest people in the world are Jeff Bezos of Amazon or Bill Gates of Microsoft or Zuckerberg of Facebook, all technology oriented. And now, as students, I'm mentioning this just to tell you that technology, skilled manpower is going to rule the world. And in that area, India is probably number one in the world. We have the largest number of skilled quality manpower. So you are the future. India today is not the India of the past. We are considered to be the world leader in vaccines, in payment gateways, in banking systems. My doctors, when they come from America and see the way with which we make payments here and transfer money and all, they are shocked. They say, we don't have these systems in America. I'd be surprised to hear that. So we are world leaders in these things. We are world leaders in two-wheelers, in IT services, in medicines. We were said to be the back office of the world till recent times. But now the world says we are the pharmacy of the world. We make more medicines for the world than any other country. So India is no longer the defensive type of country. We are progressing. We are the number one in many of these areas in the world. Now, when you guys come into the market, you'll be qualifying this year, next year, like that. The world, I can confidently tell you, the world is waiting for you. I have been interviewing various students for positions abroad because there's quite a few connections there. So if you do your work properly, study well, you are able to communicate yourself well, that is very, very important. That quality you have to develop here. When you go for an interview, it's only 2 minutes that we can give you to prove that you are the person we are looking for. If you basically impress us, then we spend more time on you. But in the first minute or two, we make up our mind whether you are the person we are looking for. So you develop your communication skills well when you are in the universities. You develop your self-confidence. How do you get self-confidence? By being very up-to-date. Your classroom lessons and your certificate tells us that you are basically okay. You are a graduate or postgraduate. But we ask you questions on current matters like, what do you think of the fiscal situation of India? Or what do you think about the world financial system? We ask questions like that. How you answer depends upon how up-to-date you are. You have got to read the daily business newspapers, business journals, magazines, all these things. You should know what is happening around the world. And if you have these things, I can tell you the potential in the world is very, very high. Many people say there are no job opportunities and all. I will tell you, we don't get people. For quality jobs, we don't get people. As business students, I'd like to only tell you one more thing and close it for the while. The capital market, the money market, the potential in these markets is beyond belief. For example, in the capital market, we need fundamental analysts, we need technical analysts, we need investment advisors, merchant bankers, investment bankers, private equity, regulators. In all these areas, the country needs tens of thousands of professionals. And the salary levels in each and every one of them runs into a few lakhs per month after 2-3 years of experience. All jobs in the finance insurance, banking. These areas are all developing like anything in this country. And the potential is so huge. If you can convince us that you can speak well, your basic confidence, you can express yourself, you understand how the world, finance, economic, monetary systems function. If you can tell us these things by studying your lessons well, as well as reading the newspapers, journals, and understanding, discussing amongst yourself on the economic scene and situational developing scenario. If you can convince us that you are the person, I can tell you the career opportunities available in the world. The demand is so high. There's no country in the world which can meet the demand like India. The world is waiting for you. It's just with you. It's up to you to just grab it. With this few words, let me close for the time, because I'll be available for any questions as time permits. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And what a great way to begin our panel discussion with a lot of optimism. And T.S. Anantharaman, sir, a very senior person, has rightly mentioned and given you a beacon of hope for all the audience and students. As he said, India is the world leader right now, and we have the demographic dividend. So it's a great way to put forth this panel discussion. Very optimistic. Thank you so much, sir, for that. And COVID-19 has indeed become a catalyst for change. And that's what we are all saying. If you don't change, then you will perish. That's what sir said. Thank you so much, sir. Let me go to our second panelist, Professor Dr. Sheela Srivastava, ma'am, for your opening remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Good morning, esteemed members, student participants, learned faculty members. A very warm good morning to all of you. And I have the same question, Sriranjan sir. Like Anantharaman sir also asked, how do you want to do it? Like, can I give my part of the views and then like we come back to the question answer round? Is it should that be fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Can I request Joseph sir to please mute? Joseph sir, you can just mute your mic. Yeah, that would be really great. There's some kind of a disturbance coming in. Yeah. Yeah, so wishing you all a very beautiful morning. Because I am purely from the academic background, I would like to make my views and my discussion today based on the learnings and the challenges that are being faced by the educators and by the learners. I would just, in the first part, I would like to focus my views on that, the discussions on that. When March 2020, we were hit with this pandemic, why I said I'll restrict myself to that, because Anantharaman sir, being a very senior person, has given us an overview of whatever is happening and in terms of where India stands and where India can reach to in spite of the pandemic situation. So I would really not like to go with the same thing. I would just like to put it as an educator's point of view. And because we are daily 1.5 years we've been spent, we've been like interacting with the students. So both parts of the challenges that we have been facing, I would just like to put my views on that. So it is like, if you rightly put it, this situation can be termed as something as education in emergency. Education in emergency, because if we see till March 2020, when we visited the campus, it was like an offline interaction going on with the students. We thought this, the blackboard, the whiteboard, and this is how it has to continue. It's something that has hit us, but surely we'll come out of it and we'll be meeting again in the offline mode. It's only over a month, probably we thought that, there is no going back to the campus until and unless there is certain kind of a remedy for it. There is something, some medicines will be there, the healthcare or, the scientists, researchers, all of them will contribute there, and, something gets drastically changed. And so the platform that will be available to the educators and the learners would be only the digital technology, where sir said, there are a lot of opportunities available there. So, That is how we took it as an education in emergency, and both the parties, the educators, the learners, were compelled to adapt something overnight for which we were not prepared at all. We were not prepared at all. To be very honest, for an educator, the only online system that was available, that you send some learning material to the students accept it, or some other institutions, they have the learning management system, all those things are there. So it was restricted to that. But the traditional technology which says that a one-on-one connect, if it is there, the learning will be much better. So we were compelled and we adapted it. Now, these challenges, which I'm in another couple of minutes that I'm going to discuss about, it is not specific to the educator, it is not specific to the learner, it is a mix. Like, both of us are facing these kinds of challenges, the learnings for the challenges during the current period. Now, the first and foremost part is like accessibility to the digital facilities that are available. Each one of us would have, prior to the COVID, would have faced it. During the COVID would have faced it, and we are still facing it. Like before the discussion started, I heard Anantharaman sir saying that 2-3 times till the call doesn't drop, you cannot complete a call, and that happens. Most of us must have subscribed to the broadband facilities, but still we face this problem, and the accessibility to the facility that has to be the primary requirement of the accessibility may or may not be available. Second is, if it is available, is it affordable? It is not necessary that both the parties who are there are able to afford what the digital facilities available to them. Then there are certain other challenges, like how is the learning pedagogy to be framed, to be designed. I design it in a way, maybe the student who is sitting there at the other end of the the digital platform, is that student able to accept that learning pedagogy from my end? How do I design it in a way? How do I make it in a creative way? How do I make it in a more interesting way for the student or the learner? So that is another difficulty or a big challenge that we are facing. Then we talk something about, that learnings have to be lifelong learnings. So in a traditional classroom, when we are like as a teacher or an instructor or an educator, say suppose if I have to, talk about a certain terminology, explain them certain terminology, I can use different ways of, it can be a collaborative learning, it can be a cooperative learning, it can be a team learning. I can use that. But given that all the challenges, are we able to do that? And is that learning which is happening on a, on a digital platform, will it be there for, a lifelong learning experience for the students? Then if this has to continue, because I've been hearing about it, and the new education policy is also talking about it. The UGC has come out with something like a blended learning, 60% in the classrooms and 40% through the online mode. So if this has to continue, there is another challenge in front of the bureaucrats who decide upon the education policy and all. They need to really reframe it. The reframing of the policy should also be there. There should be some additions there which can be, we are able to adopt the, the new learning methodologies can be there. When we talk about the accessibility, affordability, then there are certain other problems that the students and the educators or the learners always faces. Something like, the monotonous form of teaching and learning. I take a laptop, I sit in front of it, I spend hours there. and I have to submit my assignments. I, as an educator, will receive the assessments, do the assessments, send it back to them. So it is also becoming very monotonous. So where I said that the educator has to take this challenge and really think of ways in which we have to make it more creative, we have to make it more fun, and the receiver's end, it should be more accepted. Sriranjan sir, if I do with my time, please pause me there. I will stop immediately. Yeah. As teachers, we continue for hours, so you can please tell me. Okay, you can pause me there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So then another challenges are like not only our state, we see it in every state, and especially in India also. I read it about Indonesia also. 34% of the students still do not have the digital devices, or the devices to be connected to an online platform of learning. So those kinds of challenges are there. Then if we see if we say that one biggest advantage of learning in the traditional form is about a human touch, or interpersonal interactions, or the students from diversified groups are coming together, learning from each other, and proactive thinking, doing something on their own, exploring their own friends. I hate this boy or this girl sitting next to me, but today I have to talk to him or her because I need something, I need to understand something. That kind of a touch is actually missing, and that is one of the biggest challenges I feel is there with a learner. Because educators, being a bit more mature, they'll find out their own ways and means to have that interpersonal connection, or those interpersonal touches, or the those kinds of interactions which we need to build on. So that is another very big challenge with the learners. Probably now, if we talk about a family setup, the challenges for a learner which are being faced, this is primarily only focused to the learner. This challenge which I'm going to talk about now is mainly focused to the learner part, and it is not for only the business management students, because they're all matured and they're grown-up kids, so probably they can manage on their own. But when we talk about the learning's challenges at the right from the kindergarten level, or the school level. So say suppose if it's a nuclear family, and nowadays we see that most of the families have both the parents working. So if both the parents are working with less devices available, because again it's a matter of affordability, and whether I can purchase it or not, the banks are available to give loans or not, all those challenges. So how does a kid with both the working parents will have an access to learning, because both of them must be busy, and it is extended working hours also. As for even at the educators level, we feel that it is an extended working hours. So surely in the corporate sector, it is an extended working hour. So how are they coping up? So this is another very big challenge which is being faced by the learners, especially from the school background, or those who are kids and who are just starting up the learning. So probably I'll not go to how we can how effective it is, but the only opportunities which I would say, because we have discussed something about the challenges of learning, I would say there are certain opportunities also available if we take it in a positive way. Like Anantharaman sir has given us an overall perspective of how we can face this particular challenge and how we can convert it into an opportunity. Sir has given us a very wider aspect of it, and especially in terms of India, the Indian economy, sir has told us about it. So I would only restrict it to the opportunities of the learning through the medium of digital learning. So suppose if the UGC's proposal is accepted and we go in for a mode of blended learning, so the facility, or the happiness index, I say, when it is in the traditional mode is also there, and the risk factor of avoiding any kind of health issues coming to us, that can also be managed. So probably if it goes for a blended learning, those opportunities are still available. Then many of the institutes we see in India, with ourselves also, like as a Nehru group of institutions also, we have come up with certain innovations and initiatives being taken up on the learning management system part. So that is another very good opportunity available with us. We can develop more and more on the learning management systems, and everything will be available to the learners on just click of a mouse. So that will be there. With digital learning, probably the one advantage is also the flexible schedules. I am available, you are available, we can match it to our benefit, and probably we can fix up a schedule to as an educator and as a learner. We have an agreement, like tomorrow if I have a session at a scheduled time, another meeting pops up at that time, I can just change it. I can tell my learners there, tell my students there that I'm not available at this time, maybe sometime in the evening. So that flexibility is always there, and the kind of improvement in resources that we can see. And we saw, I was reading a research article based on this, which was published by two researchers from lovely professional university. They have given us an entire detail of all the states in India. They have not included anything on the the foreign countries or anything. It's purely about what Indian states individually have taken the initiatives to face this particular challenge and convert it into an opportunity, and give the learners a wider platform of learning. So probably on the first part of the discussion, Sriranjan sir, I would like to conclude it here. If time permits and you give me an opportunity, I would like to speak about the career opportunities post-COVID also. Thank you so much, everybody.
Definitely.
Thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful discourse. We had a senior person, T.S. Anantharaman sir, giving an overview of this economy and what are the optimistic things. Sheela ma'am spoke with a focus on the education. Now let me go to the third panelist with immense joy, engineer Francis George sir. He's a person who clearly understands technology. So your opening remarks, sir, over to you. Please take your time, and then we'll come back to Anantharaman sir for the second discussion. Engineer Francis George sir, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sriranjan. Am I audible? Do you hear me better when I say 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8?
1, 2, 3, 4 was
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. The earphone stays. All right. First of all, let me laud Mr. Sriranjan Menon. He has been doing a fantastic job as a master of ceremony. I mean it. You've been responsive to what's going on here. So, and it's a pleasure to interact with the students of Nehru College. This is my first time with Nehru College. I'm thankful for that opportunity also. Now, I want to share my screen. So let me do that now. Just give me 1 second. Can you see my screen now?
No, sir.
Can you? Okay, just 1 second. The share button is disabled. I don't know why.
Francis?
Yeah.
Francis, can I tell you, Madhu here?
Yes.
You can see that present now in the right column.
Yeah. Yes, I know where to. I see the share button.
Yeah, but you should go there. A window is there. A window. In that window, you have to click and then select your files. But that file should be opened. You have to open that file.
I'm sharing my entire screen. Oh, okay. I see what happened.
The file should be opened. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, not good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Let me start off with the contents of the presentation today. I want to set a context for, okay, before that, I was asked to talk about the learning challenges, but I changed it now because Sheela madam has spoken about the challenges. So I'm going to focus more about the learning opportunity and the career opportunities in this digital age. Okay, the contents, I'm going to set a context to what I'm going to say. I'm going to set the context because one, to inspire all of you, the students, and the second thing is so that you can relate to what I'm saying. You understand why I say what I say. Then I'll focus on the learning opportunities, the career opportunities. There'll be a short conclusion and followed by Q&A. I guess it's common. And this whole thing is going to be in the backdrop of what is happening in the world right now. That is digitalization. You know, this is a digital age. You can't afford to shy away from digital technology. If you do, you will be left out of the race. I mean, that's a fact. It's going to be increasingly difficult for you to grow in your career if you are not digitally savvy. That's the fact of the matter. So that's the first message to the students. All right. In terms of setting the context, I want to highlight the change in the global CIO perspective, CIO, Chief Information Officer. If you look at the year 1993, in fact, I think CIO, the term wasn't there back then. It was CEO, Chief Executive Officer. If you ask a CEO in the US or Europe as to, you know, why don't you outsource your IT or IT-enabled services to India? His response would have been, why should I outsource to India? I have EDS here, I have IBM, I have the big five consulting firms back then. So why should I do it? He would have probably laughed at that possibility, at that prospect, right? But you fast forward to 2003, I'm talking about 10 years, just 10 years. If you ask the same question, I can't manage IT without India, would have been the response, right? 10 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് ഒരു ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിൽ വന്ന മാറ്റത്തിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് ഞാൻ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. Anantharaman sir already, we are the leaders in technology എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞു. And the reason for that, and there's a reason for that, which I'll cover shortly. And you can expect the same change in perspective in other fields. In fact, Anantharaman sir പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ pharma industry, it's already happening. We are becoming the world leaders in pharma industry. And the same thing is going to permeate, the same change is going to permeate to other fields also. And I'll cover the reasons as to why and how we can part of that change. We can be part of that change. Okay, in terms of setting the context, the work style has changed currently. You all are aware of how it has changed. The change is that the workplace is getting redefined. Remote working or working from home is here to stay. So everything is going to be more and more online now. It already is, in fact, and that trend is going to, you know, go on. The causes, if you look at the causes for why the remote working happened, right now it's spread into all fields because of COVID, but there's a history to it. Globalization and cost cutting is what initiated work from home or remote working concept. So it started with, you know, US and European countries sending work to India. Then companies like Yahoo and Microsoft dabbled with the idea of working from home within US itself. They came back to the office model, went back to working from home, etc., etc. Now, then there is cheap data. Now, we should all thank Ambani for that. Ambani social media, but you should really be thankful that this meeting is happening right now because we have cheap data. We have the cheapest data in the world. Okay, so that has also helped working from home concept. And the COVID pandemic, of course. Earlier, work from home was mostly done in IT and a few consultancy and a few other sectors like that. Now it is spread to every field. You know, if in-person presence is not required, you work from home. Now, the characteristics of work from home is digital skills assume significance, and I'll talk more about that. Online collaboration is required. You need to have good skills. Good skills are compensated well, regardless of where you are. You know, the last point there is the world is leveling. So earlier, people used to look for a combination of skills and the geography. So in IT, for example, people used to say, I need 10 developers. 2 in the US, and 8 in India. Now it's not like that. I need 10 good developers. That's it. The geography doesn't matter. The pay also often does not matter. So you might be earning the same here sitting in India as a person does sitting in the US. Now, I know people in Chennai who earn up to 35 lakh rupees sitting at home and doing coding work. The 35 lakh, it's not a small sum. And I'll cover more examples later. The gig economy is something that's a reality now, that's happening. What is meant by gig economy is that you take up work in small gigs, small chunks, and you deliver that, then you move on to the next thing. That might be for a different employer altogether, a different company altogether. So in US, in IT, it's a common practice. There are a lot of consultants working in this fashion. They take up a project, work on it for three to 6 months, then move on to the next thing. That is going to happen. Increasingly, we're going to switch to a gig economy. That's what all experts say. And it's absolutely important for the students to prepare for that change. Now, in setting the context, I want to cover the unique position that we are in. If you look at India, the advantages that India has, why people are flocking to India for getting the IT work done and even pharma work. India has a unique demographic advantage. We have a huge burgeoning young population. So if you look at this graph, this is taken from the CIA World Factbook. On the y-axis here is the age group. So the lowest bar is 0 to 4. The next bar is 5 to 9, 10 to 14 years old, and so on and so forth. Towards the right, the pink and the red are the females, and towards the left, the different shades of blue is the males. So you can see that the maximum, the number of youth that we have below the age of 30 or 35 is more than 50%. Now, this is a very unique advantage that India has compared to other countries, and I'll compare with the other countries now. We have a huge English-speaking pool. Our economy is growing. Anantharaman sir പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ, ഈ 2 കൊല്ലം നഷ്ടമായാലും we are still on the growth path. We have a very cheap data connection. I talked about that already. We are fast integrating with the world. So those are the advantages that we Indians have. Okay, now how India compares in terms of the demographic advantage, just to put things into perspective. If you look at the developed countries of the world, the 5 richest economies. USA, this is how the graph looks like. China, which is a $14 trillion economy, this is what the graph looks like. You can see a lot of middle-aged population there. Japan, very aging population. Germany, and once again, see how India the graph compares with the other countries. So this is a huge opportunity, guys. I mean, don't miss it. Now, one more thing that I want to share, and this is the last in terms of setting the context. I want to say something about us Indians. Okay, we are among the best brains in the world. ഇത് ഞാൻ വെറുതെ വാചകടിക്കുന്നതല്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ പറഞ്ഞ വെറുതെ തള്ളുന്നതല്ല. This is fact to which I have first-hand exposure. I worked in different countries. I worked in the West, US, I worked in Singapore, I worked in the far south, South Africa, and I worked with, at least with 25 different nationalities directly. That is directed, and now working the projects. At least I've worked with 25 different nationalities. The places that I worked in, Singapore is a very cosmopolitan city. Singapore has Standard Chartered work. Published information on out of the 10,000 odd employees in Singapore, there were 75 different nationalities. I'm sure that I worked in New York. It's even more cosmopolitan. It probably had even more diversity. And I worked in a field where your logical thinking and analytical ability is tested. It is required very much for doing a job. So when you work in that kind of an environment, you are in a position to assess how you stand, how Indians stand with the other countries, right? And I'm telling you, we are among the best brains in the world, and that has contributed significantly to the fact that India is the IT hub of the world. But we do lack in certain other spaces. For example, management thinking is something that we don't have to the required extent. Professionalism is another place that we lack in. Tomorrow, in fact, I'm addressing the students of Holy Grace College in Mala about professionalism, the topic of professionalism. Interested students, if you're interested, you can join. So that's about us Indians. So we are in a good place. We have everything that is required to become the skilled manpower supplier of the world, right? With the right skilling. So students, if you skill yourself right, there will be no dearth of jobs for you. So that takes me to the next, the crux of the topic, that is learning opportunities or skilling opportunities, right? The message I want to give you here is you should continuously add value to yourself, right? It's not a പണ്ടൊക്കെ ഇപ്പം ഞാനൊക്കെ ജോലിക്ക് കയറിയ ഒരു സമയത്ത് എങ്ങനെയാ വെച്ചാൽ ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ മെക്കാനിക്കൽ എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കഴിഞ്ഞ് MBA കഴിഞ്ഞ് IT കയറി I worked in certain technology for the first 5 years, and my career was kind of set, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കുറച്ചുകൂടി I had to dabble in a couple of other technologies sometime, but that's about it. I didn't have to continuously keep myself updated. But it started getting more and more difficult as the years went by, and that's going to stay, right? So you have to continuously learn. Be digitally savvy, as I said earlier. I mean to scare the students here. If you don't, if you're not digitally savvy, you will be increasingly left out of the race going forward. It's going to be increasingly difficult as the years pass by. So be digitally savvy. There's plenty of online resources, learning resources available, and I'll cover a few examples. Many of them are free of cost or low cost. Khan Academy is a beautiful example. There's MOOC, massive open online course. A lot of resources available. Udemy is another popular one. I use this a lot. Coursera, that's mostly for technical skills. And there are a lot. If you just Google it, there are a lot of similar websites and apps, which you can use for learning. So I'm going to. Udemy is my personal favorite. I'll just spend a little bit time introducing Udemy to you. If you log into Udemy, this is what it looks like. You can see here that there are a lot of categories: development, business, finance and accounting, IT and software, office product, so on and so forth. If you pick randomly just one topic, finance and accounting courses, for example, let's say a complete financial analyst course. If you pick that course, you get all the details there. You get all the details here, like 18 hours of on-demand video, 11 articles, 491 downloadable resources are there. There's a user rating for this one, unfortunately. Oh yes, here it is. 4.6 out of 5 is the user rating based on 57,000 ratings. So if you just pick a topic of your choice, go to Udemy, find the course that is with good user ratings and start the course. And it's pretty cheap. Look at this. You have courses which are offered free, to 300, 400, 500, maximum 1,200, 1,300 rupees. And the access is lifetime, as it shows here. Full lifetime access, right? So you can pick anything. I mean, it's not just technical skills, marketing, finance, etc. Just as an example, let's say soap making. 10,000 courses on soap making. This thing as simple as soap making. Why I chose that is because anything that you want to learn that you can think of under the sky, it is here in Udemy, and it's cheap. 300 to 1,500 rupees, lifetime access. So make use of this. Okay, quickly moving on. The next skill that you should learn is learn to execute remotely. When you work from home, one of the major challenges that the students face is they don't get an opportunity to be mentored. You're sitting alone in your house. If you have a doubt, you don't know who to call. Even if you know who to call, you don't know if the person is free, if he's in a good mood, if he's approachable. So a lot of uncertainty is there, right? That's one of the main challenges for fresh graduates. So that comes in the way of collaborating. I mean, even it's not the same if you're sitting in the same room and sharing ideas. It's not the same as sitting at home and sharing ideas over the phone. That doesn't work very well. So there are collaborative skills that can be developed digitally. I'll directly go to those because of the paucity of time. Just a little bit of just 1 minute on plan your work well and focus. One problem that is seen among the youth today is that they are distracted too much by social media, WhatsApp, your friends chatting, etc., etc. So exercising self-discipline is very important. when you work in a work from home environment. You have to learn to communicate very well if you have issues, or if you want to communicate the status of the work that you're doing. You have to develop your communication skills. That's a different class altogether. And learn best practices for whatever you're doing, and learn to digitally collaborate. And the minimum that you have to learn is Google Suite, which consists of Google Docs and Sheets, etc., or Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office, of course, is a paid version, especially Microsoft Office 365, which has the same collaborative capabilities like the G Suite. That's paid. It's pretty expensive. So at least start with G Suite. The advantages G Suite is multi-device access, multi-user access. So collaboration becomes very easy. There are a lot of other tools. Trello is something that you can use. It's a free tool that you can use for organizing your personal tasks and also assigning simple tasks to other people. So work in small teams on simple tasks. Trello is a perfect work management tool. Notion is another one which is catching on now. Download these apps and check it out for yourself. Slack is a very popular tool which among the workforce in India. It's something like WhatsApp. It's used for communication, and it can integrate well with all the other kinds of applications. It's a free tool. Again, you can download and check it out yourself. These are the popular ones. Asana is catching on in India very fast. Then Microsoft Teams, of course. Then if you go a little advanced, when you start working, that is, Jira is the most popular software. That's paid, and it has much more advanced capabilities. But that's just for your information. So, learn, pick up. If you don't know these tools already, if you don't have the skills, go to Udemy, do a course on these. Learn at least one skill every month and prepare yourself, brace yourself for that day when you want to start working. Now, once you've learned and once you've prepared that way, the next is career opportunities, right? And what I want to focus here again is if we become a gig economy like the experts say that we will become, the freelance work is going to rule. It's already happening, in fact. So when I talk to my daughter and her classmates, a lot of companies, and I heard this in one of the clubhouse rooms also the other day, a lot of companies go for internships now, right? Go for interns instead of hiring people. Interns are available free of cost because these times are bad. Economically, companies are not doing very well. They may not have a lot of cash to employ people. So they go for interns, and all that happens through certain online platforms, and that trend is going to continue. Internshala is a site and an app where you can sign up for internships while you're doing the course itself. Upwork is another popular freelance website where plenty of jobs are listed. Fiverr is another one, popular one, and Guru.com. All these are, go and there are plenty like this. Freelance.com. There are at least 15 different popular sites like this where you can register yourself and you can jobs listed. As an example, I'll take you through Upwork, one of the popular sites. This is how the screen of Upwork looks like. You can, all these are different categories: development and IT, design and creative. So see, it's not just IT here. Creative jobs, finance and accounting, admin and customer support, engineering, legal, sales and marketing, writing, translation, etc., etc. And if you pick any of these, let's say sales and marketing, 33 different subtopics, subcategories. If you look at any of these, you can also pick by jobs beginning with A itself. There are quite a few. There's more than a dozen listed here, only in that one category. So what I'm saying is, you can learn anything that interests you from Udemy. Pick something that interests you, and come and check it out here in Upwork and sites like that, where the jobs are available for that particular skill. And once you know what interests you, there are skill, you can learn that, you can, get paid well, then why not pursue that? What I'm essentially saying is do something that you're passionate about. And there are opportunities sitting at home, you can do that. So if you pick one of the subcategories, all the jobs are listed here. It shows you how much it pays, and it has a user rating. It has a rating for the job seekers as well as the job providers. So there's a match. So over a period of time, if you're good at what you do, your star rating, user rating goes up, and people will be behind you, line up behind you for hiring you for their tasks, right? That's it regarding Upwork, and I think I've already used up my time. So to conclude, what I want to say is, choose a skill or multiple skills of your interest, pursue them, and grow along with the Indian economy. Right, your future is a bright one. And on behalf of TMA, I wish all the students the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Francis George, sir, for that excellent presentation and wonderful words that you have said. Thank you so much. We are privileged to have you. But dear students, let's quickly go back to our panelist number one, Anantharaman, sir. We would like to hear more from Anantharaman, sir, regarding the career opportunities. The second phase of the discussion, we will take it up. Sir, over to you. Please take your time, and then we'll continue. Thank you, sir.
Yes, so we had some very interesting presentations, very, very practical guides to the job seekers. Yeah. Now, regarding career opportunities, let me talk a bit more on my area, that is finance, management, accounting, and areas like that. This has opened up in such a big way. Just to give you a context, in my younger days, my family is connected with the banking system. My brother was chairman of a bank, my father was chairman of a bank, like that. You have been throughout somebody in the family who was a director or somebody. I used to find lots of young graduates with some recommendation coming home and say, "Sir, please, I need a jolly medicine in bank." Of course, my family is known for the integrity, so nobody took money, but they were willing to pay, in today's terms, big amount of lakhs and lakhs. And they're willing to work as a clerk or any low jobs. But today, with my experience in finance and capital market, I can tell you, you don't have to go and beg for a job with anybody. You don't have to pay 1 rupee bribe to anybody. If you can come to an interview and convince us, I've sat in hundreds of interview panels for local recruitment, international recruitments. That's one area where I have tremendous experience. I can tell you one thing, as you enter, I'm telling you this because this is most important for you. Most of you will be managerial professionals in course of time, and you might be entering the job market in the next year or two like that. So it's applicable to you. What I'm telling you is from my 40 years of practical experience. As you enter the room, when we ask you to sit there and start talking about yourself, in those 2-3 minutes, we basically form an idea about you. Because if there are 5 jobs, we might get 5,000 applications, and we might call, say, 50 for interview or after written test and all that. So as you enter and sit there, and your first question normally is talk about yourself. So in the first 2-3 minutes, we form an idea whether we should spend more time with you, or we just say some formality and get you out of the room. So how would you impress us in the first 2-3 minutes? That is what I mentioned to you. I'm just repeating it because it's so important. Your ability to communicate. The accent is not that important. There is in America itself, there are a dozen different accents. The accent in Texas is so different from Boston or so different from Florida, like that. So normally Malayalis, we are generally worried about our accent. Don't worry too much about it. Your confidence, the way you express yourself freely, comfortably. I would suggest that you listen to some of the good English news channels. There are half a dozen good English news channels. There are 2-3 very high quality business channels and good newspapers. You listen to those channels. When I first went abroad, I went abroad when I was 25 years old. And at 27, I was head of the department in a foreign university. So the first time I went over there, there was a big British Dada sitting there. So he made fun of me first day. My academic records are, even today, nobody has beaten that. in India. My chartered accountancy record is not been beaten now. But leave that apart. But he made fun of me because my accent was typical Trichyur accent. What can I do? I am born and brought up in Trichyur. What can I do? So if within Trichyur, probably I had a decent accent. But for him, that was fun. He made fun of me. I took it as a challenge. There was no TV those days. It was BBC News. So I got the best TV, the best radio, listened to BBC News, tape recorded that news, repeated over that. And in 3 months' time, I somewhat got out of my Trichyur accent. And then he came to me in a meeting after 3-4 months. I'm telling you this because some of you might experience these things. Otherwise, my experience is not important. It's only in relation to what you're likely to see. After 3-4 months, he came to me and asked me, do you remember my comment, first meeting? I said, yes, how can I ever forget? He said, yeah, that's exactly the reason. I saw a spark in you. I knew you are the future of this place, but you had such an awful accent. I wanted you to change it. Today, in 3 months' time, you worked a miracle. That's what he told me. I'm just repeating this so that you know how important it is. നമ്മൾ തൃശ്ശൂരും ഇരിഞ്ഞാലക്കുടയും വടക്കാഞ്ചേരിയും ഇരുന്ന് ബ്രിട്ടീഷ് ആക്സെന്റ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഓക്സ്ഫോർഡോ യോർക്ക്ഷയർ ആക്സെന്റ് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടാൻ പോകുന്നില്ല. But you can continuously improve yourself by listening to some of these good discussions in the TV, news readers and all those things. You have got a very cultivated accent. Try to improve on it. There is no one right accent in the world. You keep on improving, learning from others. So in the interview, first 2-3 minutes, how you express your confidence, your comfort, all these things. And then what type of questions do we ask you? We don't ask you questions on break-even point or some textbook thing. We don't ask you because once you are certified by a good university like Kerala, Calicut, MG or some of these things, we know you understand the basic things. We want to know how up-to-date you are because as both the other panelists mentioned to you, unless you are current with what is happening in the world, your textbook knowledge is not enough. That's just a base. But what is required is your understanding of the world. Do you read newspapers? Do you read journals? Do you understand the current events? What is the economic consequences of COVID-1, COVID 2.0? How are we facing it? That type of understanding you get, not an expert understanding, but a basic understanding of what is happening in the world. If you have that, I can tell you the jobs available in the market. You may not realize that. I have interacted substantially with the private equity, investment banking, finance, insurance professionals at the highest level in this country. The jobs, 22, 23-year-old guys coming for presentations, I have seen drawing 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs monthly salaries. That's very common in those private equity, investment banking, insurance professional circles. You all are the right people for that. You are all getting rightly trained after a basic degree, your MBA, all these types of things. So if just a few things, after you pass your exams, during that time, improve your communication skills, your understanding about the world, develop your self-confidence, be up to date, and try to participate in your debates, discussions, and all what is happening in all your institutions. Read these newspapers, business newspapers, and all on a continuous basis. I can assure you, my very, very dear students, you are ready for the world at a salary which is much, much beyond what you would be able to think. I just want to stop here because more on career and all that. The area sections and all, if anybody wants, I can tell you a dozen areas within my own thing where the potential is there, but that will be on my latest question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Once again, a lot of optimism and positivity. I think the students, you can be really happy listening to these legends. Very quickly, let me go to panelist number 2, Professor Dr. Sheela Srivastava, madam, on career opportunities post-COVID and how the world will be like. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Shriranjan sir. It becomes very difficult after you get a chance to speak after a very senior person. Sir has already given a broad area, and Engineer Francis sir has also given us the areas. So I'll very precisely and very quickly put it. The major sectors where probably the students of the business schools or the management students will find an opportunity if they will cope up with whatever has been advised to them by Anantharaman sir and Francis sir. One of the areas that I see is the healthcare sector. Generally, when we talk about the healthcare sector, what comes up immediately in mind is it is only doctors, nurses, paramedical staff, and all those people. But there are certain opportunities for students of the business school also, because there are there's a team of workers whom we call it as administrators, or the the HR people, the talent management is there. So one sector, which we will see will be blooming in the years and always is one is healthcare. With the current situation where we have grown up tremendously is another sector, which is ed technology, which we see, like earlier we were hearing only about Byju's. Engineer Francis sir was talking about Khan Academy. Another part which has grown up, another company which has grown up tremendously. Then we see the Upgrad also coming up. Upgrad was one organization, one ed technology organization which was not being talked about. Now they are rigorously advertising on the social media, the TV, and everything. So ed technology is also one area where we will see a tremendous growth. Sir has already talked about the fintech part and the finance related part, so I'm not going into it. There'll be certain students who will always want to get into something that is related to probably coding or something like that. So if you see the OTT platforms and the online gaming has also become, that sector has seen a tremendous growth. So these were the major areas, and I will fail here if I am not talking about the tremendous growth which the e-retail and the e-commerce sectors have seen during COVID times. Now it is like, even for a very minimal thing that I can just walk into a hypermarket and purchase it. But the kind of delivery system that they have updated and upgraded themselves to, I feel that most of the essentials also I can buy it online. Why should I get into a hypermarket or a nearby store and risk my life with the current situation? So it is better. So there has been a tremendous growth that has been seen at the e-retail and the e-commerce sectors also. So these are broad areas. Now, if some students will specifically want to know, like, what kind of work can be there, like one area Anantharaman sir has very clearly said, and Engineer Francis sir has said about how to develop that skills also based on the, say, suppose you have to go purely for a finance job. So Udemy and Coursera and all these platforms are giving you courses on where you can develop yourself according to the learning. And because there's no time restriction, these are all online courses. You can just do it at any point of time whenever you're free, or you get bored up with the regular studies, you can develop yourself. So financial area, sir has already spoken about. The another specific kind of a job that you can, work upon is the digital marketing, the social media, or, the online platforms of marketing. So digital marketing is one area where you can develop yourself if you want to, you have some love for marketing. Then we've seen one another, because the digital marketing is growing up so much, we have seen many job opportunities coming up for content writing. Especially for the students who come from the business school background. Content writing is another upcoming area where you can, a job where you can look into it. So again, these students who are related to the IT part, cyber security, because of, the kind of online frauds. I read it somewhere that during the pandemic, the online frauds have also gone up because we've been doing digital payments and, we were not used to it. So that security part also we do not understand. And the click, somebody sends us something, we click it, and then we realize that, I clicked on a wrong link that was shared to me. So that is also one interest area, because we want to make the people of our economy safe. So, those kinds of jobs will also be available. Freelancing is always there. If you want to get into diversified parts, freelancing can also be done by you. One very good thing that I read about when I was, searching about the opportunities, career opportunity, and the one very good thing that I read about on the online platform was, and the opportunities available, beauty influencers or makeup artists that you call them as, because the saloons and the parlors and all are closed, and I was really surprised to know that these people have, and there are no, the films being shot or some. We've been facing those issues. All sectors, all individuals, all class. Everybody is going through a tremendous, in the income earning part has gone down. So this was another part where some people are maybe interested to develop themselves there. They do not take it as 100% profession, but yeah, somebody on a passion or the love for this part. So that is also one career opportunity which is always there. But this does not come with a you need a B school certificate there, or you need a 100% certification, you've done a course there, but this comes out of passion. The last one that I have been talking about comes out of passion, your love for this particular thing. So this is how we can look into different sectors. We can look into the opportunities post-COVID that would be available to all of us. So with this, I end up here. Because both of my colleagues have spoken more and more about it and given in-depth knowledge. So I just wanted to make it too quick and too precise. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Dear students, so as Sheela ma'am mentioned, there are 5 areas that you can look at. One is EdTech, and the second is healthcare. The third is FinTech, as Anantharaman sir was also mentioning, OTT platforms and online gaming. And ma'am also spoke about e-retail and e-commerce. So these 5 areas are having immense potential. I just want to add that a recent McKinsey report says in 2019, education technology, the investment was around 18.16 billion US dollars. It is predicted that by McKinsey, says 2035, it is going to reach $350 billion. So immense potential. And Francis sir also mentioned about various edtech companies. So let me quickly go to our third panelist, Francis sir, for your esteemed views on career opportunities post-COVID. Over to you, sir.
Okay, I've already spoken about the digital opportunities in digital space somewhat. Now that's not the only one. I was in a webinar recently where Dr. Anantharaman, the Dean of IIM, was also present. And he made a very interesting point. And it's a fact. I've heard this from other potential employers also. The so-called, what doesn't necessarily fall into a white-collar job or an office job. And it's not blue-collar either, right? There are certain jobs that fall into that category. Marketing, being on the field is a job like that. And there are no takers for it. Youth in the marketing job, എൻ്റെ മകൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മകള് വെയിൽ കൊണ്ട് നടന്ന് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കണ്ടമാനം ട്രാവൽ ചെയ്ത് ഡോർ ടു ഡോർ പോയി പല ആൾക്കാരും കേട്ട് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ജോബ് എടുക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യം എന്താണ്? അങ്ങനെ ഒരു മരുമകനെ എനിക്ക് വേണ്ട, എൻ്റെ മകളെ അങ്ങോട്ട് കെട്ടിച്ചു കൊടുക്കില്ല, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ് ഉണ്ട്, which I find very ironic because marketing is the എന്താ പറയാ ഒരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷന്റെ നാടിഞരമ്പാണ് മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഫംഗ്ഷൻ. Without that you can't sell, and so that's where there's a huge potential for earning. If you have good people skills, if you have the power to convince people and negotiate well with people, that's something that is so much in demand, but yet no takers. I spoke to last year, just before the COVID, I was speaking to a edtech company based in Kochi, and he said if we advertise for a programming position, if we get 100 applications. We advertise for a marketing position, we might get 3, 4, maximum 5. the point that Dr. Anantharaman made is, post-COVID, the economy is going to boost. Anantharaman sir പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ, by I think not today, but in one of the previous webinars, he said the Indian economy by March 2022 will be where it was in March 2020, and from there it's going to pick up. It's going to boost. Our boost marketing and supply chain management jobs. There are going to be plenty of jobs, right? So if students who are not interested in sitting in front of a computer, not interested in just sitting in a room and doing job, there are plenty of opportunities going to be available there. And another thing, adding on to what Anantharaman sir said, there's a conundrum all over the world, and it's like if you talk to the job-seeking community, the fresh graduates, the feeling is that there aren't enough jobs, well-paying jobs out there. But if you speak to the employers, they say there isn't enough skill there in the market. So, the expectation is here, and what is available is here, and that's true throughout the world, and regardless of the size of the corporation. So if it's an MNC, they would go to the IAMs and they wouldn't find the required skill there because their expectation is here, and the skill available is a few notches below. If you go to smaller corporations, their expectation might be here and the skill available is here. So that gap between the expectation and what is available is always there. And as far as I'm concerned, if I were a student, it's like an opportunity, right? People, they're not able to find people with skills, so it's just a matter of developing my skills according to what is required in the market. So adoru prashnalla adileke njan Anantharaman sir nerthe parna pole communication skills and confidence. When I talk to employers outside of Kerala, consistently ellarum parayunna Keralathilekku vannu kazhinjal communication skills and confidence lacking aanu students in. Adinu pala kaaranagalundi. I mean, I can talk about for an hour as to why it is that way and how we can correct it. We don't have the time now. So that is something to address, and there are ways of addressing that, and there are ways of realizing the root cause of the problem. And once you realize what the problem is, there's better motivation to address it. There are ways of addressing it also. So yeah, but that's for another session. I can't cover the details here. We don't have the time.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Francis sir, for those wonderful inputs. We've also been reading few research which says that 25% of the population right now in this year itself has switched occupation. I think Oxfam said that 1 in 16 by 2030 would be forced to change occupation itself, not just their jobs, but overall the occupation because of COVID-19. I would like to go to Anantharaman sir. So how would be the way forward? In what way they have to adapt and change post-COVID? So.
You see, COVID has done the human misery, suffering, we can't quantify. Now that is in the background. That I don't have to repeat every time. But there is a reset button that COVID has provided to everybody. Now, the world post-COVID is going to be definitely a different world compared to what it was. And that calls for, as Francis already mentioned, a digital orientation. If you pass through Singapore airport, unless you are comfortable with your cell phone and all these checking procedures, I think you will be stuck. There is no paper to be filled. I am reasonably comfortable with that, but still I found first time a bit of a problem. So that's the way the world is changing. So in the post-COVID world, one thing that everyone has to realize is a digital orientation. And let me quote here the quotation which I always quote in all my speeches is about this Alvin Toffler. I don't think I have completed a speech in recent times without quoting that Alvin Toffler is the world's best-known futurologist. He's no longer there, but still, his words, the illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot learn or who cannot read and write. It will be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. The illiterates will be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. What I mean is, if you get a university degree, a postgraduate degree, and you think that's the world finished. You are out. You are going to be called illiterate very soon unless you equip yourself with a new skill. So you talk about India. We are in a very exciting phase now. When I say that, Francis, don't think I'm just joking or I'm just saying for fun. There is such palpable excitement in the industrial business circles on the new India that is coming in. See, it took 60 to 70 years for India to reach the first $1 trillion in GDP. That was touched in 2008. First $1 trillion GDP in 2008. The second $1 trillion was 2014. We should have crossed $3 trillion by this year, but for COVID, it has postponed it. It will be 23 to 24. Now, by 23-24, we will be a $3 trillion economy. And what took 60 years from independence to reach 1 trillion, we are going to cross it almost every year. Just look at the opportunity. Whatever has happened in the first 60 years, we are going to cross that type of thing every year. We are going to add by 2030, we could be very close to $10 trillion economy. So COVID has set a reset button to many of the practices, the health standards, many of the things, the speeding up of the digital transformation of the world, all these things, despite the human suffering, it has made us change to these things very quickly. So the only thing I would tell you is, don't rest on your laurels. Don't take it for granted that you have a good degree, that somebody is going to call you for a job. Continuously equip yourself. So many platforms are available to equip that, but the opportunities coming in. Finance field, I can tell you with confidence, people are simply not available. That is the, you go to Bombay, you ask any leading financial institution, people are just not available. So there are so many certification programs available conducted by the national institutes under SEBI's control, NSC, BSc. They are all conducting so many certification courses. You can pass them even now. Each one is a book about 100, 200 pages. You just read that, you can go and get yourself certified. With that of certification, if you have 2-3 certification, for example, in mutual funds, in investment banking, private equity, or data terminal operation, there are so many certifications available. It is 1 week part-time study for you. You certify yourself in 2-3 of these lines, people will grab you. There's so much of opportunities also available. So COVID is a 2-year temporary break for the economic system. With that, so many things are changing, so many bad things have gone away, newer things are coming in, digital transformation is coming much faster. So new opportunities, the new India, I can tell you, get ready for an exciting takeoff.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. So looking forward to that roller coaster ride, as you said. Since Anantharaman sir spoke about digital and technologies, let me quickly go to Francis, sir. Then I'll come back to Sheela, ma'am, with another question. Francis, sir, there is a digital divide that we have been talking about right now. We have seen students from Attapadi and many rural areas even walking 3 to 4 kilometers, climbing the hilltop just to get the range. So India, we all know that there is a wealth gap. The 10% of the rich has 74% of the wealth in this country. So digital divide, and how will this integration of technology, this is going to change the dynamics of education, as we all know. So what is the importance of IT and how this digital divide can be bridged, Francis?
Okay, a couple of things that come to my mind readily. There are companies that are working on bridging that digital divide. So, for example, Tesla's company, I forget the name of the company now. What they're working on is making cheap data available to places that are otherwise devoid of data connection. So they're going to send these satellites to the orbits, and the internet connection is going to be directly with the satellite. So that's the technology that they're working on, and what they hope to achieve, and that has immense possibilities, right? Inclusion of bandwidth is for people who don't have access to it. That's the main objective as stated by Tesla. And this one more company. I forget the name of the company. I can refer and come back to you later on that. So that's one a promising thing. The second thing, if you broadly look at the skills required for the future, let's say 10 years from now, 15 years, the direction that the world is headed in, broadly speaking, there are two kinds of skills, right? One is technology, digital skills. That's going to be paramount. The second is the emotional, where digital solutions cannot be implemented. So any routine job, anything that is repetitive in nature and to be done in large volumes can be automated, can be taken over by robots or digital solutions, right? What cannot be taken over by artificial intelligence or technology is whatever requires a human touch. So caring for an elderly individual, for example, or a job where love and care is required, right? Wherever the human touch is required, wherever an emotional connect is required, that cannot be substituted. Humans are required in that field. So those who do not have the inkling to go digital, or those who cannot, despite the inkling, they just cannot because they don't have the connectivity, or they, now they can think of getting into that space. That's my 2 cents on that topic.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. He spoke about the human touch. So with that note, let me go to Sheela, ma'am. Ma'am, you have been very closely working with students and also educators. So as Francis sir and Anantharaman sir said, what is lacking is the human touch. Maybe our buildings used to buzz with students, when they come, and the buildings comes to life, or the institution comes to life when there are students and there are faculty and there are a lot of activities. Now everything is, shrink to the screen. So how will the future classrooms, or what will be the future of institutions, ma'am? Is there any going back to offline, or will be continuing this online, or is it going to be a blend of online plus offline? So we would like your take on that, Sheela.
Yeah. So, like you asked rightly, and probably in the course of discussion, I had mentioned it, that we'll probably have to move on by what is being suggested by the University Grants Commission, that preferably it should be a blended learning. Probably the government is yet not prepared. If you see, with 130 crores of population, and we see even not 25% of the population yet vaccinated. So probably right from the kindergarten students to the higher education students, probably they will have to come up with a education policy, refinement in the education policy, where there should be a blended learning. You said very rightly, educators and students, both ways together, they will want a interaction face to face, where we feel a human touch. Especially the students, and as an educator, if you ask me, yes, I will always want to go back to the campus and see my people there, see my colleagues there, see my students there. So the outcome of it is to handle the current situation and to make it more flexible in terms of learning. The policies should be designed in terms of blended learning in the sense that, as Engineer Francis sir also mentioned, there are certain other things out of the regular learnings that we can do. Anantharaman sir spoke about how to develop yourself over the course of time. So these things, if they have to go hand in hand with a fast pace of the development that we are going to see now after the pandemic is over, and 23-24 is being mentioned by sir, the economy is going to come back to the normalcy, and we see the rise in GDP also. So putting all that together, I would go for a blended mode of learning, giving the students the flexibility to learn, not missing on what they have been missing since last 1.5 years, and learning everything at the comfort of the home, but coming to the campus also. That works out together. Thank you. Hope I've answered.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, excellently, ma'am. Thank you. And we have completed.
Can I just say one thing here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
On this one matter, you see, even among tech companies, there are different views. TCS, the largest tech company, said by 2025, 25% only will be in the office, the balance will be working from home. Immediately, the Wipro, the owner of Wipro, Premji's son, Rishad Premji, came out and he was asked the same question. He said, "No, I look forward to the time when people come to office at least for 2 days in a week." So it's not as if everything is going to change like that. There will be change, but that human interaction will be a very important part of Wipro's operation. So I'd like everybody to come to office at least some days in a week. So there is definitely in the post-COVID time change is definite, but it's going to be different and different approaches will be very different. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Francis, sir, any points you want to add to this point?
No,
please go ahead.
To add on to that, I just wanted to say, I had the work from home option. IT-like the Mumbai ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നതാണ് ഈ remote working and working from home and things like that. 2 ദിവസം അടുപ്പിച്ച് വീട്ടിലിരുന്ന് വർക്ക് ചെയ്ത് എനിക്ക് ഭ്രാന്ത് പിടിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. And I used to long to get back to office. So yeah, I 100% agree with what was said. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. Thank you, Francis. I just read a text sent by somebody. They were saying that this lockdown is there. Industry people are saying that it should be opened, and IT is saying it should be open. Manufacturing saying it should be open. But our students are very, very obedient, and they take care of all the people. They have never said that colleges should be open, and I think we should give it to the students for that. That's what is said. Anyways, as a moderator, it has been an immense pleasure to interact with this esteemed panel. Now we have a very, very important category, our respected audience who are waiting. Let me very quickly go to our audience for questions. You can tell to which panel your question is directed, and then we'll proceed with the vote of thanks. With such a luminary panel, it's very difficult to, stop because the discussion has been excellent and the time has just flown like this. Now, I think we can spend some time on question answer session with the permission of the panel, and then we can wind up the session with the vote of thanks. Okay, so comments have started coming in from Anita ma'am, a really wonderful session. Madhu Analur sir has said, excellent talk by all speakers. Balagopal sir has said that it's a great opportunity, and so on. So my dear audience, thank you so much for your patient listening. If you have any queries, please drop it in the chat box, or with the permission of the panel, if you can unmute and ask, that is also fine, one at a time. So it is open for question answer session, and then we'll go to the vote of thanks. Yeah.
I think Mr. Ravi has raised his hand.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. So please go ahead. Make your question, sir. You can unmute yourself and speak. Any questions? Okay, Ravi sir has said trend setting session. Ravi Verma, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Any questions, audience?
This is another challenge of online teaching, online learning. We do not get up questions where we are supposed to get it. This is another challenge we face every day. But probably, if there are no questions, let us move on because we've already exceeded.
So good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm Verma from JCT English department.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you, ma'am?
Good.
Fine.
Thank you, sir.
See, actually, it is an excellent seminar. Okay, it's very useful to the student. And I need to thank the organizer for having conducted such a program. It's very essential to the students. Okay. And I like to have as teachers we face in the classroom, right? You see, now it has become what you call as nobody is moving there. We don't know actually what is happening behind the mic. We do not know what is happening as teachers because students are not speaking. Okay, there is no response. And I like to refer to our panelist, the senior panelist, Anantharaman sir has said. Okay, the communication part is very important to any job, right? Any career opportunities. So my question is how to make them talk, how to make them interactive in the classroom. So my question is genuine.
Yes, thank you, sir. We'll pass it to the panelists. I think we'll go to Anantharaman sir first.
Yeah.
Over to you, sir.
I think some of institutions like yours are organizing so many meetings, discussions, debates, and all that. And I think you should encourage every person to come out and introduce some topic during the year. I think something like that, because that makes such a lot of difference in our lives. Because the first time, second time is difficult, but after that, it becomes just a par for the course, So I think that the institution should play a very important role in that. Some people are just shy. They don't know their potential. They can do very well. I had my co-managing director in my company when I was the chairman and managing director. He was very brilliant guy from Cochin. He was educated in good school, so he could speak English, but he wouldn't speak one word. Then I said, I will stop talking till you come to the stage. Now, today, he is in such demand everywhere. So, he had that potential, but he was never willing to speak. Never. I had to push him. I think the colleges like yours, which conduct very high-class programs, I think you should list the students who are not spoken and make them, push them into it. I mean, that's the only thing that comes to my mind at this moment. Maybe there could be some marks given during the course, some type of
thing. Internal marks are there. Internals are there. But anyway, thank you very much. Okay, this is
Thank you, Ravi sir. Thank you for
sir.
the question. Thank you so much. Thank you. There's another question from Ritesh sir saying that given the fact that it will take a couple of years for us to get back to normal, does it make sense for one to go for full-time higher studies? So the question is on higher studies. Maybe Sheela ma'am, would you like to answer the future of higher studies, full-time higher studies during this post this?
Yeah. A good question which comes up, in the minds of most of the students today, Engineer Francis sir had also mentioned during his presentation that there are so many opportunities of online working also available, something on Internshala, or I did write it also, Upwork also you mentioned. So maybe this becomes a confusing part for the students who are coming out of the undergrad colleges, and they have an option. Should I go for work? Should I go for a 1-year internship? Or should I go for higher education? When we are deciding upon this factor, we should always keep in mind that whatever you are going for a full-time course will always be a full-time course. It cannot beat up with the online kind of learnings that we do. It cannot be matchable to the online learning that is, it is just to add it that we go for an online learnings, okay? Surely, like sir said, my senior sir said, Anantharaman sir said, and Engineer Francis sir also said, we'll come back to normalcy. It is just a matter of another maybe 1 year, 1.5 years, and India is already planned for, vaccinating the entire population by December 2021. So, given that pace of, coping up with the current situation, I would feel that yes, because you should not be backed out in the terms of, my own peer group, which was there. They went for higher studies. They are ahead of me. All that is there. That normalcy will come back. So online kind of a learning, online kind of an internship, something that works out better with a full-time registration for a full-time course is always that I also want for. Yeah. Hope I've answered.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Ritesh sir, and thank you, Sheela ma'am. as a senior person, I would hand it over to T.S. Anantharaman sir with due respect to have a concluding remarks. I thank all the panelists for this excellent discussion. It has been truly an eye-opener. So with due respect, let us all welcome Sri C.A.T.S. Anantharaman sir to conclude this panel discussion, and then we'll move on to the Master of Ceremony. Sir, over to you.
Yeah. Uh, I think it was a very, very useful couple of hours. As you rightly mentioned, I don't know how quickly the time passed. I had to change my equipment because that had run out of battery, and it's the second one now I'm using now. But anyway, for most of the youngsters, COVID will be a game changer. They wouldn't have, even we have not seen something similar to COVID, but we have seen a few tsunamis and other things. But so don't get worried. This is a temporary phase, 1.5, 2 years. Economically, exactly, we have lost 2 years. We will be back to 2020 before March next year. So it's just a loss of 2 years. Don't get worried about what will happen to the country, what will happen to your career. I think your career, the potential, as I always keep on mentioning, please understand, I am very serious when I say there are exciting possibilities. But with a small key point there, if you are very average or below average, it's going to be quite difficult. You have got to be really good. Now, equip yourself. Addition to college, there are certification courses. There are so many side courses, as Francis gave you lots of options. Register yourself in some of them. My neighbor here had done, he was telling me, he's a student. He has got admission in INSEAD now because 22 courses or so he completed during the from the COVID time when he was sitting at home. Yeah? A boy, a +2 completed boy. 22 courses he completed. Just see. And he wrote to INSEAD and they have taken him on a special 22 students from the world. He has been taken in that just because he has done so much. So equip yourself better. Develop your skill sets, communication, confidence, all these types of things. The world is waiting for you. When I say that, I mean it. My daughters in America, one of them is doing business and accounting. She's an accounting professional CPA. She tells me that there are no skill sets available in America in this line. She keeps on telling me. So the world is looking for you. So equip yourself, study, certify, get additional qualifications, develop your skill sets. The world is at your feet. It is India's decade, India's next 2-3 decades. I have no doubts about it. When I tell that, please believe me, because I'm involved in so many selection processes, so many interviews for so many companies at the All India level. All the best for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. One last question has come now. Achyutan Menon sir has mentioned it right now. To reduce the educated unemployment and better understanding, 1-year internship is must in engineering, medical and management sectors. What's your opinion? Again, I'll come to Anantharaman sir, as again, this is the last question. The importance of internship, and with that we can conclude, sir.
Yeah, internship is very important, especially in India, because somehow we are more academically oriented than more practically oriented. I have been involved in some positions abroad. I was the head of the department of a university abroad in Africa, and I've interacted with many of the professionals. My daughter is a professor in an American university. In all these places, the practical side of it is part of even a basic degree course or a postgraduate course. Whereas I see here, I'm not criticizing or anything. I'm telling you just based on my experience and knowledge. That's all. So correct me if I'm wrong. Somehow we have been giving too much importance to classroom learning, examinations, and things like that. So for an Indian, this internship or somewhere going out and working together is of paramount importance. My own qualification is chartered accounting. It is so much in demand in India as well as any part of the world you go. Indian chartered accountants are in demand. Why? Because the course involves 3 years of practical training. So when it is combined with the practical training and an academic thing, it becomes all the more useful. And institutions like banks, where I was totally involved, we take so many interns and we put them through training program. At the end of that, they become so much more useful than a pure graduate. So I think the question is on the very important right priority area. Internship is of paramount importance, and every student should think seriously about it. Opportunities may not be so much available, but you tap one or the other, I'm sure it will be available. Very important.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Achutamenon, sir, for that question. So as a moderator, I thank all the panelists for having this wonderful discussion. Very quickly, let me hand it over to the master of ceremony, Ms. Subbalakshmi. Thank you so much. This panel discussion has come to an end. Thank you. Thank you all. Subbalakshmi, over to you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Anantharaman, sir. Thank you, Francis, sir. Thank you, Sheela, ma'am. The session was surely very informative and very helpful for us students, especially to talk about career opportunities and all. It gave a boost for us. Thank you so much. And now I would like to welcome CA Manoj Kumar, sir, for a vote of thanks. Kindly, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Subbalakshmi. Today we witnessed a historic session. It was a really wonderful. And I believe all the students who were today in the session were enriched with knowledge. Respected panelists of today's discussion, CATS Anantharaman sir, past president of TMA and former chairman of CSB Bank, Dr. Sheela Srivastava, director, Nehru School of Management, Engineer Francis George, management consultant and former vice president, Citi Bank and Standard Bank, Dr. VM Xavier, president of TMA, trustees and management of Nehru Group of Institutions, Mr. Srivastava Menon, lead admission officer, Mr. Sijo Joseph, associate professor, Nehru School of Management, and who was behind the show. He was the program designer for this program, for this virtual panel discussion. Mr. Pradap Verki, honorary secretary of TMA, past presidents, managing committee members and members of TMA, faculties and students of Nehru Business Schools, and other invited guests. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to propose a vote of thanks for today's virtual session. Before I start on my actual vote of thanks, let me just tell a few words about the Trishur Management Association for the benefit of the invited guest. Trishur Management Association, affiliated to the All India Management Association, New Delhi, is a professional body in Trishur established in the year 1919 with an objective of promoting professional management. The services of the association are oriented towards developing and promoting best management practices across the business and industry. Its membership base includes many corporate houses, institutions, small and medium enterprises, individuals, and students. The Management Association always supports students by forming student chapters to create their academic and all-round development. Strengthening the student chapters is a constant endeavor for TMA. At frequent intervals, TMA organizes guest lectures on management topics, seminars and annual management conventions, management awareness, upgradation program, business plan contest, publication of a quarterly journal, and TMA DLB scholarship for needy management students. Now on to my duty. First, I would like to offer my deep sense of gratitude to all the three panelists, CATS Anantharaman sir, Dr. Sheela ma'am, and Engineer Francis George sir, for finding time in the demanding schedule to be part of this panel discussion. Thank you, panelists, for the very interesting discussion and very positive outlook in the road ahead. In these difficult times of pandemic, your words of wisdom is really positive and it's really encouraging the students. Thank you, Anantharaman sir, Dr. Sheela ma'am, and Engineer Francis sir. I would like to thank the dynamic president of TMA, Dr. VMS Xavier, and Honorary Secretary, Mr. Pradap Verki, for facilitating this discussion. I'm thankful to the trustees and management of the Nehru Business Schools for supporting this virtual panel discussion. I would like to thank Mr. Srivastava Menon for efficiently handling the virtual panel discussion. Thank you, Srivastava sir. I'm greatly obliged to Mr. Sijo Joseph, Associate Professor of Nehru School of Management, for conceiving and designing this program in a real professional manner. I would like to thank the past presidents of TMA, managing committee members of TMA, faculties of Nehru Business Schools, and finally, I thank the wonderful students of Nehru Business School for the wonderful participation. I would like to thank all of the invited guests and participants in the virtual discussion. I believe today's discussion has given a positive outlook to the future to all of you. Thank you for attending and have a great day. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj Kumar sir. Thank you so much. We also thank you for your support and cooperation. Thank you, Manoj sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Subbalakshmi.
Thanks to all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Sheela ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.